Hey guys, thanks so much for reading my article in this month's issue of Shutter Magazine. There's been a great thread going on in the Shutterfest Facebook group about what's allowable and what's not allowable when going through customs or when shooting a destination wedding, what type of gear you can take through, what you tell Border Patrol about whether you're actually working in the country or not, and there's some specifics about whether you're shooting in Mexico or Dominican Republic. And there's also some really interesting information about whether or not the resorts can charge you to actually be, or charge the couple that you're photographing to not be using the resort photographer. There's so much information that's out there, and to a certain extent there's going to be some misinformation, but definitely do your research. The number one thing that you don't want to do is show up somewhere, end up with a massive fine, or or worse for that matter, and you never really know whether or not you are going to come out the other side with all your gear intact, and sometimes you're dealing with relatively corrupt Border Patrol officials. As I mentioned in my article, we were in a caravan heading to a wedding in Puerto Penasco, and we basically handed the Border Patrol a $100 bill to not search our caravan of cars. And that was perfectly allowable. It was probably one of the most absurd experiences of my entire life. The other aspect that you don't want to sort of run into is traveling with too much gear. You make yourself a target for theft. You make yourself a target for somebody that's asking questions. You potentially are the best way to have somebody come in and ask questions about what you're doing is starting to set up lights and tripods and everything like that. Whenever we travel, we always make sure that we're traveling as light as feasibly possible. Sometimes you can't get away with traveling as light as you might want, just because obviously you do want to have all your gear. That is important, but the fact is that the lighter that you can travel, the more mobile you are when it comes to traveling, or maybe sort of sneaking into cool locations, or getting the shots that you really are going to transform your portfolio. Lastly, one really cool thing that some colleagues of mine had done was they would advertise, or they would look to book a wedding in maybe Puerto Vallarta or Cabo, and once they had that wedding booked, they would advertise really heavily for, say, April weddings. They'd advertise with Google AdWords, with the different resorts. Some of the resorts that were down there, they had made connections at certain resorts. And so once they had their first wedding on the books, they would actually try to get maybe 2 or 3 other weddings around that same period of time. That way it maximizes their travel and their time down there. Plus, they actually would have the ability to essentially shoot as much as possible with one travel expense, essentially. So, and that also gave them a little bit extra time to enjoy and work remotely out of Mexico for a couple weeks, sort of in between weddings. So I remember a specific instance where they had a wedding on a Tuesday, and then they actually booked another wedding that following Saturday, and then another wedding the following Wednesday, just based off of advertising heavily for specifically the time frame that they were going to be down there. So that's a really good sort of tip if you are looking to expand destination weddings as an offering for your studio. Other than that, I hope you guys got some good tips and information out of my article this month. We'll talk to you soon.